The Dominicans came in Turkey in the 13th century, and since the beginning of the presence of Dominicans, they worked a lot in a cultural way. We can mention that the first Dominicans here in 13th and 14th centuries, they worked a lot for ecumenical, what we can call actually the ecumenical dialogue. And they worked a lot for the translation, for example, of the St. Thomas of Aquinas works into Greek language. So the idea was St. Thomas in Greek language is useful for approaching the Greek Orthodox Church. And then after the conquest of Istanbul by the Turks in 1453, the Dominicans came more and more for Latin Catholics here in Istanbul. And then late in 18th, 19th century, the Dominicans settled also in Izmir. So in Izmir we have a parish, a real parish for the Catholics there. And in Istanbul we have a church, a convent, where the intercultural, ecumenical and interreligious dialogue is very important. So we are here along the history for approaching people, for approaching Christians, for approaching also Turkish people. My work is about the history of Sufism, and because of these studies and researches, I can approach also Sufi people here in Turkey, and Sufism is very important. What is Sufism? Sufism is the more spiritual part of Islam, in particular more mystical part of Islam, and with this part of Islam in Turkey we can really establish a lot of relationships, friendships, and in a way a dialogue, a genuine dialogue with these people. So the Dominicans here are really for dialogue, what we call dialogue after the Second Vatican Council, and ecumenical dialogue, intercultural dialogue, and finally, in some way, interreligious dialogue. So the presence of Dominicans is discrete, really discrete in the history, but really present. In Turkey, the Catholic Church is composed especially by religious communities. I mean Dominicans, Franciscans, Jesuits, Capuchins, and so on. So it's a very important element that this church, Catholic Church, in the religious authority is composed by religious, so it's more a religious church than a secular church.
The majority of the 100,000 Christians in Turkey is composed of the Orthodox. There are about 60,000 Apostolic Armenians. There are about 20,000 Orthodox Syriacs through all of Turkey. Of extreme relevance is the Patriarchate of the Greek Orthodox, with Patriarch Bartholomew. Even if the number of the faithful is really reduced, the seat of the Ecumenical Patriarchate of the Greek Orthodox, primes inter pares, first among equals, has a great historical and spiritual importance. In the past, there were sometimes difficult relationships among the different churches, while today the relations among the churches are fraternal. Latin Catholics number about 10,000. Then there's the Armenian Catholics, the Syriac Catholics, and the Chaldeans. All are part of the Bishops' Conference of Turkey. Latin Catholics have an apostolic vicariate in Anatolia that is currently vacant after Bishop Padoese was killed 3 years ago. In 2006, a Fide Donum missionary, Father Andrea Santoro, was assassinated in Trabzon. The comment Bishop Padovese gave at the memorial mass of the murdered Father Santoro was, "Whoever wanted to erase his physical presence does not know that his witness is now even stronger." Of the enormous Christian cultural heritage in Turkey, very little is left. After the occupation of Constantinople in 1453 by the Ottoman Empire, many basilicas and churches were transformed into mosques, many more were destroyed or changed on purpose. The main masterpiece of Byzantine architecture, Santa Sofia in Istanbul, became a mosque, and afterwards, at the beginning of the Turkish Republic in 1923-24, it was transformed into a museum. The Turkish authorities declared that in 2014 it will be turned into a mosque.